later because it's Monday and they'll be tonight. Anyway.
Yeah, it'll be.
And tonight will be firefighters.
Oh, yeah,
no,
firefighters.
Well, it's first responders.
Yeah.
And the other side.
Yes.
You got another one there?
I do. From Isla. Ooh, is this a long one?
Not too bad.
Oh, no. Here we go. Okay.
This one's a long one.
You got a long one. I got some short ones. On the talk of Ouija boards, when I was living with my brother and his family, my sister-in-law and I got involved in Ouija divination. She seemed to be quite adept at it, and the board would work exceptionally well for her. Me, not so much. Once we got into this, Bev found that a spirit was following her around. Ooh. That she could always feel cold wind at her back. Ooh, too.
Ew.
We also indulged in tarot and palm reading, but the Ouija experience never really left Bev. From that point onward, her life seemed to spiral with health issues and substance misuse. While she had always been a party animal, yay for her, no, she began to drink even heavier after that Ouija experience. Oh, that's not good. Later on, when her health grew increasingly worse, she became quite religious and was very involved in the Catholic Church. She eventually passed away from internal bleeding. Her esophagus, was left in shreds from years of vomiting after having gastric bypass surgery. Oh, that's sad.
It's very sad.
Yeah. Bev passed in 1993 in the early spring, I believe. Along about the same time that Bev became so religious, her daughter Leslie was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Oh my gosh.
She met the Pope, actually.
Wow. For which she endured years of treatment and illness. During one blood transfusion, she was given tainted blood and ended up with Hep C. Oh my gosh. When Leslie initially was diagnosed and was needing a blood transfusion, I spoke with Armand and let him know that I had B+ blood type, same as Leslie's, and I had recently given birth, which made my blood rich with antibodies Leslie would need. Her brother Tracy also had B+ blood type and was supposed to be her donor that day, but he got called into work and nobody thought to call me. I would gladly have donated my healthy antibody-enriched blood for her sake, as I had always adored Leslie. Sadly, I never got the call. In short, Ouija boards are bad news, man. Most often, familiar spirits are in charge, and they are liars, even worse than Donald Trump. Let's just throw his shit into the USA. Okay, we're not going to get on the Trump topic because politics suck ass. Sorry.
Politics.
Politics are just bite. A dear friend of mine that is a witch denounces them because of familiar spirits that cling to the porthole that the board allows. Familiars are bad news all the way around. Familiars?
Cats
like my
and
cats? My cats
no,
are bad news?
No, not your kitty. Not your kitty.
Anyway, adjuring them to tell the truth is pointless. Their end game is to harm all that use the board.
Oof.
Is this is an oath?
Oh no, that one's part of Leona's. That story is part of Leona's because it's in connection with Debbie's audio.
Oh, gotcha.
So what we'll do is I'll leave a space. We'll play Debbie's, and then we'll get.
And then we'll do that one. Yeah.
So what I'll do?
Oh, familiars aren't bad things. No.
Owls and all that good stuff.
No, I don't think they're bad. I think my familiar actually protects me.
Here's my familiar. It's ghosty.
No, but really, sometimes I swear to God, some days, which is really weird. My cat who is one of those kind of kitties that is sort of like. She loves you when it's good for her.
Of course.
She comes every morning for her little snuggles and shit, right? She always wants snuggles in the morning. But she rarely will sleep with me. Not like my first black cat. My first cat that I had was black.
Right.
Slept with me every single night between my legs.
Oh.
Every single night.
Huh.
This one sleeps me hardly ever, but when she does, she has to be right on top of me.
Oh, yeah?
Doesn't matter how I'm laying. If I'm on my back, on my stomach, on my side, she's on top of me. And I always feel like she's like covering me.
Oh, yeah?
It's really weird.
Huh.
Because she doesn't sleep with me otherwise. But every once in a while, she'll come and she'll lay. I'll be on my side. She'll come and she'll lay like right in the pit of my hip.
Yeah.
And it's not often. I can probably count on two hands the amount of time she's done that. So I'm always figuring she's there for a reason. So I'm like, I accept you there.
Like, I like cats. We have a dog. People in my house are allergic to cats, and I get that. That's fine. I've had cats before. I've had a cat.
I've had dogs too.
At my mom's house and stuff. I'm actually, I like the whole familiar connection type thing. I started writing. I drafted out a book. It's actually a horror movie. It's called Kitten.
Oh, my kitten. Ooh,
I'll read that to you. I'll read that to you later. You're gonna like that. I gotta get a move on that. I know. So I'm going to read Jordan's story. Jordan actually is a fellow I work with. Hey, Jordan. Hi.
thanks for sharing.
Thanks for sharing. It's his girlfriend's story.
Thanks, girlfriend, for sharing.
So he came up to me one day. He talked about the show. I think I mentioned this in the previous episode. He said, hey, will we ever do... No, we're good, because we started it. That's fine. Okay. I'm the timekeeper.
I'm like, holy shit balls.
I'm the timekeeper. No, it's good. It's less, because I start recording 20 minutes in, I think, or something. But anyway, so Jordan had asked, would I'd ever do an episode on Ouija boards? And I said, well, consider it, but I had a bad episode with the Ouija board once, so I'll have nothing to do with them and stuff. And I had to get rid of the Ouija board. And he goes, oh, so well, how I said it was so funny, because I said, I had a bad experience with the Ouija board once, so I had to get rid of it. And he's like, but did it come back? No. And I'm like, no. And he's like, my girlfriend's did. Oh. And that's all I know about the story. I kind of briefly read over it, but I haven't really read it. Okay. So he said I can use his girlfriend's first name, but I don't have her name in here. When I read at the end of it, it even says that the names have been taken out or something like that. Shitballs. Well, okay. No, that's fine. And if I see a name, I'll just bleep it out or whatever. Yeah. So this is from Jordan's girlfriend. My experiences with the Ouija board almost didn't feel real because of how strange they were. I'll recap my story by saying the board wasn't mine at first. The older mulatto, yes, relevant, sister got it for Christmas one year, and thus our adventures began. The most memorable night was when she had our cousin and friend over, and we were playing in the basement. They were in the basement, and I was upstairs until I heard them trying to talk to my sister in worried voices. I crept down, and I saw my sister not playing, but her one hand was on her face, and her other hand was hovering above the board. I got closer to see what she was doing, or what was going, and she was white as a ghost. She didn't look like herself, or even like she was black anymore. She looked white. And and she was rocking back and forth, mumbling something. They were told by the Ouija board to keep playing, and so they did. So the planchette moved fast, and I could tell that they weren't faking it because how terrified they were, struggling even to keep up with it. They wanted to stop, and as far as they could tell, it was two spirits trying to communicate at once and almost arguing through the board. My sister's hand wasn't even moving with it. She was shown a vision, and I don't know what else to call it, from one of the spirits that had been killed in the old bedroom. None of us believed anyone had been murdered in her room. Anyway, what I saw when I went downstairs was something I'll never forget. When my sister came to, her color flooded back, and she immediately burst into tears and started to scramble, getting up to leave, but my cousin and friend grabbed her and sat her back down. The board had warned them that she would try and do bad things that would happen if she left the circle in her state, which was before the spirit had left her mind's eye. They made me turn the lights on, and as soon as I did, the candles went out on their own. It was as if I had flipped the switch and they went off. It wasn't as if they were blown out. They just went off on their own. We had to do a cleansing ceremony for my sister to help her feel comfortable and remind her that she wasn't in any danger. She was repeating something too quiet for us to hear the whole time too. When she was calm, she was able to recap what she had seen. Later that day, we did some research and found out that there was somebody who had died in the house that we just moved from. The name the spirit gave us was wrong, but the age of the boy in her vision matched the death of the child in the previous bedroom only weeks before. We had no need to look it up before, but ever since, we always looked up any potential deaths in our homes. I'm not going into detail as to what she saw because it was her own story to tell, and honestly, it freaks me out. There was no way this could have been made up. Not to mention that was also gate night, the day before Halloween, when the veil of the spirit world is the most fragile. After, we were obviously freaked out, but it still didn't stop us. Maybe about 4 months or so later, we decided to be dumb and have a session, but instead of ending it properly, we left the planchette on the board as if we were still playing. A big no-no. And we didn't, and said, we'll be back. Didn't say goodbye or close properly. We set up a recorder and left the house. I've got a bad feeling about this. No one was in the house for about an hour, and when we replayed the tape, we heard breathing, shuffling around, and what sounded like on the floor. But then near the end, we were whispering, saying my sister's name over and over. It was saying my sister's name over and over again. To finish off, we heard it. My two sisters and brother and myself. There was scratching on the speakers of the recorder, fiddling with the buttons, and then a very, very loud yell in the recorder. Help me! Ew. We all fell backwards and were scared shitless. After regathering our senses, we wanted to hear it again, rewound the tape, and pressed play, but it was gone. Just fucking gone. All of us heard it, I swear to God, and any one of us will say the same thing. The other noises that were still there, and then saying my sister's name, but it was still very loud and distinct. Help me was gone. The next experience was on my own with 3 friends, and you can chalk it up to bad luck or timing, but my friends and myself believe it was the board. I decided to borrow the board without asking and used it without the owners present. An obvious no-no. I wanted to show my friends it was real. So we were playing, and then I decided it was fake after all, since nothing happened. And being an angsty teen, I told my friends, of course, we all were, admitting you have a problem. No, anyway, friends, that we were going to insult it and go for a walk to see what happened. So I yelled at it, I want to believe you're real, but you're not fucking you stupid spirit. If you're real, then prove it. My friend was wide-eyed and nervous at this point, and I was honestly scared, even thinking the words. After saying it, the air had changed, but I tried to rationalize it was my own anxiety. I firmly believe it made the board mad, and the energy in the air was pissed off, like a pissed off spirit. Nothing happened, so we left the planchette on the board.
No, what do you keep leaving it on the board for?
It's like we're watching a horror movie. Like, don't go in the room.
No, don't go up the stairs. Go down the stairs.
So we got up and we went out on our merry way, out the door for a chocolate bar at the corner store. The store wasn't far, and I had no enemies in the area. I was a white kid in the North End. Oh shit, that's scarce. No, I'm just joking. But I've never had any issues. This being said, we were all very, very uncomfortable on our way to the store. The air never changed, and it felt like it was hard to breathe for me. No one said anything, and we all wanted to just run. And on our way to the store, we noticed some girls standing outside the store, gruff looking and just hanging out. And on our way back, they followed us, and they singled me out. Hey, fucking white bitch. And decided to beat the crap out of me.
Oh, joy.
Yikes, that's not good.
Yeah, no.
My friend tried to step in, but they pushed her away, and they got me to the ground and beat me up. Well, all right then. One of my mom's friends saw it happening and stopped the girls. This woman was very spiritual and had her firm beliefs as well. The air lifted when she stopped them, but when we got back to my place, there was no doubt about it. The planchette had been flung off the board underneath our couch. We all thought it was one of us and said, oh, we just didn't realize, I guess, but we all knew.
Yeah, no one wants to
Nobody,
anything.
no.
No, I know.
And we all sat back down, and after the board didn't wait for us to start the sessions, it just said, ha, 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 and it wouldn't respond to us after that. We tried for a while, but I was honestly too scared. I said goodbye and forced the planchette to the word bye, signaling the end of the session. And as you guys will see in the next interview we have with Debbie, that seems to be a thing.
Yeah.
Put it away. Friends left, and I did my best to forget. My friendship died out around that time too. We stopped talking as much. Fast forward to a year later, and I'm in high school now, and my sister says she doesn't want it anymore, so she gives me the board. And since
you
nice,
take the goddamn thing.
How easy is that?
Yeah.
I still always wanted to use it, and she didn't. And I played it a lot with my other friend. The experiences we had after were freaky as hell, always, but nothing too major until the day my friend's dad finds the Ouija board in his house after I leave it at her place. He breaks the board and throws it in the trash. Uh-oh. He was a spiritual man and didn't like the bad mojo in his house. I was mad and scared for them because it wasn't disposed of properly at all. I was just waiting for the bad luck to come and ravage me or them, but it never did. Now, maybe a few months pass, and who'd have thunk? My friend's dad went to a garage sale and found a Ouija board in a box and bought it to give to me. He felt bad. Now, someone who has had strong beliefs about evil spirits won't normally do something like that. And when my friend gave me the board back, I opened it, and it was the exact same design, exact same eyes, exact same everything about the board. Those eyes seemed bigger and more dangerous, though, and my heart ended up in my throat when it happened. He came back to me. I think after playing it again, it didn't end up being the same spirit from the first board, but she was aware of the spirit, or he was aware of the spirit, and that it had followed me. He refused to communicate with us, and we were told he was angry. So I noped out of there. And then she says, I didn't have the board for long. I passed it on to my younger sister, and she disposed of it properly with her friend, which I am very thankful for. My older sister hasn't been the same since then either. She changed a lot after all the crap happened, and I will say that I try not to talk about these stories. They still scare me to this day, and even writing them out gives me that feeling that the spirit we had is looking over my shoulder. I may have missed some details